Hey guys, welcome back to After the Island. I'm Elizabeth,
I'm Alex.
and we have Ashley with us today.
Hello! I'm so excited to be
Hello.
here.
Welcome.
We're like AKA Selena Gomez.
Yes.
I love you
You
guys. Oh
we
my
were
gosh.
just saying before we were recording, she's the cutest human I've ever seen. And she is Selena Gomez's twin, which is like also the coolest thing in the world.
Do
Oh
you
my
get
gosh.
that a lot?
I do quite a bit in person, but I feel like I've been hearing it more now that like things are online and on the internet. Like in person, I feel like anytime I step out of the house, I hear it like once or twice, and I'm like, oh, thank you. Like I love Selena. I grew up watching her and even went to her concerts growing up and stuff like that. I didn't start hearing it till I was like older. So hearing that now, I'm just like still in shock about it. Like, oh my gosh.
I love it.
It's such an honor.
Oh,
Where are you right now? You back
So
home?
I'm in Florida. I'm kind of like out in the suburbs right now, staying at a friend's house. But yeah, normally I'm in Miami, but I'm kind of in between leases. And I'm actually moving out to LA after this. So
oh
Oh
my
I'm
my
really
gosh,
excited
gosh.
for that.
congrats.
Thank
Yay.
Exciting. Oh
you. Thank you. I'm so excited.
my gosh, can't wait to have you
Are you
over
like
here.
yeah, are you gonna like model? Because you should.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Yeah, I actually have an agency out there, but just hadn't had a time, like had time to like, spend some time out there. So after this, I was kind of like, I just want to start over, start new. So I think, yeah, LA is the best move and I'm excited for it. Would love to grab coffee or something sometime
Absolutely.
when you're
Definitely.
in town.
So fun.
I'm like the
Yes.
conversation with Leo about Miami didn't stick
Oh
too well,
gosh.
did it?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I was so awkward in that conversation. Like, I think just being my first conversation, like in the villa, I think I was still shitting bricks at that point. Like, I had so much anxiety and I was just all over the place there. But yeah, I love Miami. Definitely want to come back at some point. But for right now, I just want to try different things. So
Yeah,
excited to try out
love that.
Yeah.
Speaking of trying new things, it was probably way different for you to, go on Love Island. How were you scouted for the show? Did you apply? How did that kind of come about?
Yeah, so I got a DM on Instagram from one of the casting directors. And I think at that point in my life, I was like very, very single, like in my villain era single. You know what I mean? Like
Oh yeah. We love
We
just
love a
those.
villain
very
era.
Yes,
like
yes.
trying out just a ton of things. And like I was kind of like, yeah, like fuck yes, let's try it. Like I think I don't know, it was definitely a very different experience for me because I feel like growing up, I was always super introverted, super like to myself and everything. And I think the past year, I kind of like gaslit myself into thinking that I'm an extrovert now.
Good. That's how you
And
gotta do it.
Yes.
yeah, I was just like, okay, like fake it till you make it, you know? And I was like, yeah, why not try this? Like, it could be a good opportunity. Who knows what could come from it? Like, maybe I do meet the love of my life or whatever. So why not? And yeah, I kind of just went for it. Didn't like have much expectations from it, just kind of, went along with the application process and yeah, like I think I remember hearing your podcast with Emily, and she kind of says like, you never know it. You think it's you, like you never know if it's gonna be you. And I definitely didn't think that. I kind of just thought like, oh, who knows? And then until you get to that point where it's like you get the call that you're flying out to Fiji, you're like, oh shit, like it's actually happening. Like,
That's how my parents were. Like they did not believe me until I like had the ticket.
yeah, exactly. And I didn't tell like hardly anyone until I got
Yeah.
to that point. Then I told like my closest friends and family, and I was like, oh gosh, like it's actually happening.
Oh my
Oh,
gosh, how fun. And then
Yeah.
when did you find out that you would be a Casa girl? Or did you think you were gonna come in before then or whatnot?
I had no idea. So that's the thing is like that's probably the biggest mistake I think I made coming into this is like not watching a full season of Love Island ever before, just kind of like seeing like clips on TikTok or Instagram reels and just kind of like hearing what I heard from friends and not really like knowing the full like I had no idea what Casa even was. So
oh
Oh
getting the
no.
no.
call, like when I got the call that I was in Casa, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so amazing, cool, thank you. Like but what is that?
Yeah.
And I think that kind of like threw me through a curveball because I think coming into this, I definitely maybe was a little bit delusional in the fact that I thought like I was just gonna come in, like I was gonna have guys flocking to me and I wasn't gonna have to put in any work.
I love
And I was just gonna have like, meet the love of my life, meet my soulmate there, and it was gonna be happy ever after. But that was not the case at all. And I think like coming into Casa, like I just, I didn't know what to expect. And yeah, I definitely did not expect to come in like I guess so late in the show, and that definitely was kind of a different experience, but everything happens for a reason. So
Totally. Going based off of what you're saying, do you think if you went back, you would have had more of like an aggressive approach to like putting yourself out there and having more of like putting forth, like you said, being like super extroverted, talking to people like way more, or were you and we just didn't see enough of it? Because honestly, I feel like we barely got to see a ton of your experience.
no, I totally get that. Yeah, I think looking back, like, I like to say it sounds corny. I like to say like, everything happens for a reason and I wouldn't change a thing. But if I were to change something, yeah, I definitely think I could have been more aggressive. I definitely thought like, guys were gonna be pulling me for chats and I wasn't gonna be the one having to like, do all the legwork. And I definitely kind of sat back and kind of just waited to see, what was gonna come my way. And I think, you know, looking back, yeah, I think maybe I would have, at least not been so much in my head about like, I don't know, like little insecurities. Like, I think, like, I feel like as girls, we kind of just like try to focus in on like, we're our own like worst critic, as everyone says.
Mhm.
And
Totally.
I think like going into it, like the first couple of days, I was paying such close attention to things that looking, like, out in retrospect, I was like, "Those didn't matter." Like, I don't think anyone noticed those as much as I did myself. Just like, like I felt like my skin was breaking out, and I was like on my period, and I was bloated. I was like
Oh my gosh, you
Oh my
look
thinking
gosh.
about
stunning.
Yeah.
oh, thank you. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think like at the time I was letting those things get to my head and I was really disappointing myself for those things that I wasn't like putting myself out there as much as I normally would, like I guess in
Mhm.
the real world. And I was letting them hold me back and I think the only thing I really regret. But I got a pep talk from one of the girls, and she was like, "Remember who you are." Like,
Oh,
Good,
good.
good.
like
Which
talking. I was like, "Okay, you know what? You're right. Like, I'm gonna try a little harder." But at that point, like Casa Amor, you only have so much time, so
yeah.
I think it was a little bit too late. But at the end of the day, it is what it is, and everything happens for a reason.
I feel like
So
we did start to see you pulling people for chats on the last day though, and I was like, "Okay," because like you're describing, it is such an overwhelming experience that I
yes.
think
Oh my
people don't
gosh.
really understand until you're there. Like you could be such a extroverted, loud person in a room with just like, people, friends, whatever. But then once you're in a room full of those kind of level of
Yes.
extroverted people, you then could be the introvert. Like I'm very extroverted, and then
Exactly.
I ended up being very quiet
Same, I was
too
like a
because
turtle the first
yeah.
week.
And it's easy
Yeah.
to get in your head. It's so easy to get in your head there because everyone's beautiful. You're like all of a sudden, you're filming the show, like it's crazy. So it's very easy for that to happen. Like you have to have some thick skin to do that. So honestly, props to you. Like pat yourself
Yes.
on the back for even going and doing it. Like yeah,
Thank
like it's
you.
amazing to even, go all the way there and put yourself out there like that too. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yes, for sure. I'm so glad that you guys can relate to that because yeah, I definitely felt myself starting to like retreat back to my like introverted self whenever I got there because just everyone there is so loud and they have such big personalities and you get there and it's kind of overwhelming and yeah,
Yeah.
I
It is.
definitely felt that for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so going off of that, like, I know we saw you pull Leo for a chat and it like, you were like, "Eh," kinda didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Um, is that who you were interested in, or were you interested in anyone, or were you kinda like, "None of these guys are for me?"
To be honest, I felt like I think all those guys that were there were great guys, but I really felt like none of those guys were there for me. I think the only thing that attracted me to Leo at first was just the fact that he seemed like from the shows I had watched previously, he was like very charismatic, very outgoing, and I was kind of like, at that point of being in the villa, very like, you know, self-conscious and like introverted. So I was like, maybe he'll bring that out of me, you know?
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, I'll chat with him first and, you know, see where things go. And, you know, he has such a great personality. You know, he definitely surprised me in certain ways. But I don't know, I feel like it was almost a little bit too much for me. Like, he's a great guy, don't get me wrong, but I don't know, just something about like the way he looks into your eyes like a little bit too intensely. I was getting so nervous. And I was definitely, I don't know, I wasn't fully comfortable. And I was like, okay, yeah, maybe that's just not the person for me. But I definitely, you know, I feel like a lot of people don't like to admit that they're the problem. Like they like to blame it on someone else to be like, they're the problem. And I'm kind of over here like, you know, maybe I was the problem. Maybe I was just so anxious that I didn't like, you know, come across as I could have. But, you know, it is what it is. And yeah, Leo was the first one I went for just because, you know, I think we had a little bit of similar background, like coming from like Spanish speaking families. And I was like, okay, maybe this could be cool. But yeah, at the end of the day, he wasn't the guy for me. So that's
Yeah.
If you had more time there, who else would you have tried to maybe get to know more? Like once you were able to start opening up and become more comfortable, if you had more time, who do you think you would have tried to maybe pursue?
Hmm. I would probably say, I guess Jonah, maybe. Just because, like, I don't know, I feel like I didn't go for him at all in the beginning because he reminded me a little bit too much of a certain ex that I was like,
Oh,
like,
yeah,
Oh,
no,
stay
that's
yeah.
away. But
never
like,
good.
Mm.
yeah, later on, after like kind of just, I never had pulled him aside for like a one-on-one chat, but just, you know, being in the villa, I was kind of like, okay, like he's not so bad. Maybe I could have talked to him, but at that point, he was like already so deep into his relationship that I was like, I'm not gonna mess with that, you know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I also did like get a chance to talk to Kenzo and definitely like had great conversations with like chats with him. But I think he was so closed off that I was just not willing to like put pressure on it at the time. But yeah, I feel like those were probably the only two like in the villa that, you
So
know,
who out of the villa? Are you gonna say Harrison?
yeah, how'd you guys
Because
know?
literally
Everyone we
every
talked
single
to
person
said
has
that.
said Harrison.
Yeah, it definitely like took I think all the Costa girls by surprise that he wasn't gonna be there, you know, when we got on because we had no clue that he wasn't gonna be there. And, you know, I'm not gonna lie, I was excited to meet him just because I felt like we had a lot in common where like I used to do social media for a jewelry and watch brand. So I was really
Oh
excited to
my
like
gosh.
have that in
Harris
common and talk about like, you know, certain things with that. But, you
Harrison,
know,
after hearing all of these interviews and especially this one, is going to be like, no, literally.
yeah.
Wait,
But
I'm dead that you have that in common. That's
I know,
so
it's so
funny.
exactly.
funny.
I'm not gonna lie, that was like my first thought as soon as I walked in. I was like, where is he? Like he was the only
Shit.
person I kind of felt like I had my like eye on, you know, looking into it.
Yeah.
But like I literally sound like a broken record at this point. Everything happens for a reason and maybe we just were meant to meet at that point in time and that's totally okay with me, you know?
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then on the
Exactly.
other hand, too, you meet everyone in the villa. And then afterwards, in like past years, we've been able to see like the two groups of Casa people like hanging out and meeting after. Were you able to meet any of them?
Yeah, I was. I actually was. I haven't watched fully like through the shows that I was on, but we did get to meet the other Casa guys and like the Casa singles. And yeah, I definitely would have had my eye on one of them.
Ooh.
Which one?
Oh gosh, do I have to say? Is
No, you
that
don't have to say. You don't have to say if you don't want to.
Yeah. There
Okay,
definitely
well,
is one that, yeah, we like, you know, had our plane ride home together and I was like, oh, like this person's really cool. We would have gotten along really well if we were in the villa at the same time.
oh
But
my
yeah.
gosh. What a bummer. That
I
like
I
that
know.
is
know.
like a chance at fate though.
I
Like
know.
meeting afterwards. It's
It's kind of
Exactly.
it is kind of cute. It's kind of giving Mackenzie and the handler from a previous season, like
Yes,
the forbidden
exactly.
love
yeah, but you also get to like
Exactly.
sit there and compare your
experiences.
experiences
Yeah.
and be like, oh, okay, I'm not alone in this.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's exactly how it went. I feel like.
What girls in the villa were you close with?
Oh my gosh, I feel like going into it, we all bonded immediately, like, right from the start, even before we were, speaking to each other, just, like, making eye contact, like, having a great time, but I think the first girl I really got close to was Deja. She was, like, one of my number 1 girls, just I don't know, just something about, like, sitting next to each other in the makeup room, we really, like, bonded and had a connection. She was just such a sweetheart, I absolutely adored her. And then also a little bit Hannah O, like, as soon as she came in, just coming from the not the same area, but she's born and raised in Florida, I moved here,
Mm.
but come like, kind of being in the same area and knowing the same spots, we were like, "Oh my gosh, like, we have to hang out after this." So, yeah, I definitely think those 2.
Oh, that's
Were you
awesome.
shocked seeing Hannah O come in? Because you guys were already outnumbered at that point. Like, not outnumbered, but what it
Yeah.
wasn't an even matched
Even
casa like casa goes. Normally, it was like 7 to 6 girls,
Mhm.
7 guys, 6, and then on top of Hannah O coming, that makes then 8 girls, 6 guys, which just makes all of your chances even harder coming back in, which I don't think we normally see in casa.
Yeah, that was definitely surprising. I mean, I didn't ever watch the show fully, like, to the point where I got to Casa.
Yeah.
I think I only watched, like, a couple of the first episodes, so I had no idea what to expect or, like, what the ratio was supposed to be, but that definitely threw me off at first, and I think, like, when you all come in as a group and, like, an outsider kinda comes in, it's easy to kinda, like, pick on that one person, but I don't know, I feel like I'm a pretty empathetic person, so I definitely try to, like, be understanding of her and her situation and be a little bit more like, "Welcome in." Like, I know it feels, difficult being an outsider, but, like, you're one of us now, and I definitely tried to, like, allow that in, but it was surprising. We were not expecting that at all.
Did someone, like, yell, "Oh my god, that's Marco's ex?" Or how did you guys know that it was his ex? Because I feel like she was walking in and you all were on the daybed and you were like, "No way, that's his ex."
Yeah, I think I just heard someone yell it. I don't remember who, if it was one of the guys or one of the girls, but we were all shocked. We were like, "What?" Like,
That
we
is so
totally thought it was
crazy
gonna be Hannah, like, OG Hannah from,
for her
over
date.
there.
Yeah.
So when we saw the look on Marco's face, and he was so excited to be back with his girl, and just, like, hearing that, we were like, "No
Oh
way."
Oh
my
my
god.
gosh,
That's
crazy.
insane.
Yeah.
It's been a wild season. Are you gonna continue to watch it? Chance to watch any of it?
Yes, I definitely plan, now that I've kind of like gotten some future things for myself taken care of and squared away, like to go back and just binge because I haven't even, gotten to my own personal episodes. So I gotta definitely do some work. But, before I wasn't like fully, OG, live Love Island fan, but I think now I'm like gonna be watching every season, gonna be so much more invested into it.
It's so much more
And
fun.
yes,
It is a lot more fun
yes,
when you know how it works. Yeah.
yes. I'm falling a little behind right now. I've been, like, keeping up with certain things from, like, their Instagram and, like, reels or clips I've been seeing, but, yeah, I definitely need to go back through and watch everything.
Oh my gosh, fun. I'm
Absolutely.
excited for you to do that.
Me
Alex,
too.
do you
I
Yeah.
have
have a few like, there's some good, just great little, phrases that a bunch of fans sent in, and some girl a girl named Carly said, "Not a question, but you're an underrated queen."
Aw, thank you. That's so sweet.
Like,
It really
everyone's just
makes my
talking about
day.
how much we wish that we got to see more of you, but
Mhm.
I
Aw.
know that we'll see you other places. I have
Aw,
no
thank
doubt. Of
you.
course. Yeah.
Well, we will link your socials down below so everyone can keep
Thank
up with you, Ashley. It's been
you.
so lovely talking to you.
Yes.
You're a
Yes,
doll.
I
And
love
call us
talking
when
to
you
you
get
guys
to
too.
LA.
I
Yes,
will, I will.
definitely. We
I'm
would
so
love to meet.
excited.
Yay. Well, thank you
Yay.
so much.
So to everyone watching, please like, comment, and subscribe. And any other questions you have for Ashley, leave them down in the comments, and we will get those answered to you from her or us. And we look forward to seeing you guys on the next episode. Please look out for all the other Casa Girls interviews as well. Thank you guys so much. We love you.
And follow Ashley. We're gonna put
Yes.
her socials down below.
Yes.
Thank you guys so
Bye.
much. Thanks for having me.